What's up, YouTube? Dark God back again. Long hiatus, 2 months. Last time you saw me, I was doing my 25 horror films of Christmas, and I actually have a bunch of them still saved up that I never ended up putting up, so I will get to that eventually. But more importantly, it's one of my favorite times of the year. It's Oscar time, and this is the build-up to Oscars, which will be on this Sunday on ABC. And like the past couple of years, I take the 6 days prior to the Oscars, and I break down what I call the big six: director, supporting actor, supporting actress, best actor, best actress, and of course, best picture. Now, I'll say right from the start, I don't think this crop of films that was picked this year is as good as prior years. I think there's a lot of films that just weren't up to par, and a lot of the acting performances were really good, but the films themselves I just don't think held up to years when you have these far superior films. And I mean, they're not bad films per se, but I don't think they're the quality of films that you're used to from the Oscars. I mean, you kind of had like a little bit of run. Like, I liked Black Panther. I thought it was a great movie, but I don't think it was a great film. I don't think it was a film that was like a best picture type. I actually preferred Avengers Infinity War to it. So there's just like this year just feels a little off when it comes to the different films that were put up basically for nomination. But anyway, today's one that I'm doing is actually Best Director. You have 5 nominees, and this is actually one of the awards that it's actually stronger. Like, they took 5 of the better directors this year, and I mean, you get people like Spike Lee, who should be nominated for previous awards or previous movies rather, and who should have been here before. And it feels like it's been a while since you had a Spike Lee movie nominate. And you also have a couple of people that their names have been always thrown out there. Anyway, first one, Pawlikowski. Probably butchering this man's name. Director of Cold War. Now, Cold War is in the same vein as like how Roma is, where it's nominated for the Best Foreign Award, but at the same time it's up for other awards. It's not up for Best Picture actually, but it's up for like Best Cinematography, Best Director. And it's just this movie about basically in Poland they take this house in the countryside, and they're training these people to be singers and everything, and it's a romance story while this is all going on, and it's not a film that, I mean, I'm going to watch multiple times, but the actor performances are high like level of acting, I think. And you could tell that he dragged these out of actors. Not that they're nobodies, because they are nobodies in America cinema, because nobody knows, unless you're a big art cinema fan, or a lot of foreign cinema, you're not going to pick these people out of a lineup. You're not going to know who they are. And this Pawlikowski, he pulls this out of them, and I mean, he directs a very good love story. Like, a lot of people are comparing it to La La Land, and I do think it's better than La La Land. It's not as like poppy as La La Land, obviously. Like, there's no like that. They don't have that like the Hollywood magic that went with La La Land. This is more like a bleak, obviously black and white film that just shows Poland in the 40s after the war and everything, just everything that went on, and it's very well done. But like I said, it's not a film I'm gonna go back and revisit. I do think he did really good at it with what he had, with the talent he had and everything. I just don't think it's I don't think it's that level. Like, I think it's going to have a real good shot at cinematography. I think it and also Roma are going to be the 2 films that kind of compete for cinematography. And that also, that I think that's going to go against them, is because a lot more people are going to remember the cinematography of this film rather than the acting and the directing of this film. So I do think it was good, but I don't think it was up with the others. You also have Yorgos Lanthimos, going to butcher that, who is director of Killing of a Sacred Deer and The Lobster, and then he takes a shot at The Favorite, which is a story of Queen Anne and her relationship with, I guess it's her assistant, but the assistant then has an assistant it's a whole love triangle between the 3 of them and everything, and it's part comedy, part drama, part historical piece, part biopic. It's just all mixed in. And the one thing that, I mean, you're going to get credit for is 3 of his actors are nominated for awards. So that, I know a lot of actors get nominated for these awards based on their name, but a lot of times these directors are taking this acting out of them. They're dragging them into this, and they're getting the best performance possible, and they're getting these nominations and everything. And I do think that is going to lead a little bit of a bonus to him to get this award. Do I think he's going to get it? Probably not. I don't know. I like The Favorite. I thought it was a really good movie. I think it's very underrated. You don't hear people throwing that out there as the best picture choice, but I do think it has a possibility of being there. I still have one more best picture movie I have to watch. So I do think you get a little bit of you get to see him pull this performance out of these people. And you get a very you get a very good main acting job, and then you get the two supporting cast acting jobs, and all three of them are just top notch. And I mean, everybody around them is just good on top of it. And the way he navigates, where he's going between the comedy, the drama, and the biopic, and like the storyline and everything, it's very well done. And I do think he has a shot of walking away with it. Not as big of a shot as everybody else. That brings us to the person who I think is nominated because the Academy owes him. I mean, is Spike Lee in Blakkklansman. And going into Blakkklansman, I thought it was going to be like a straight up comedy movie. I realized that there was a bunch of stuff, obviously, like socio-political aspect to it. But I thought like the way it was being pushed was it was a straight up comedy about, a black detective working with the white detective, where the white detective has to be the face of the guy in the KKK while the black guy does the voice. And the thing is, there's a lot of great actors in it. Adam Driver's one of my favorite actors going, and he's just top notch in it. But Spike Lee works with like Washington, who's, he's got the chops. Like on Ballers, he's awesome, and he's very good in this. And I was kind of shocked he didn't get a nomination as well. I'll have to see if maybe if he was the dark horse who got snubbed and should have been nominated and everything. I'll probably look at that in the best actor category, because that's where he would be if he was nominated. So I mean, Spike Lee, just between the actual film and the way it just draws you in, and there's no downtime. Like this movie just keeps going, and it can fire the comedy in one scene and be dramatic in the next scene, and everything just works together, and he just pulls it all together. And this is one of his best films for me since, I mean, it's got to be since Malcolm X for me. It's like been 20 something years where I think you haven't had him make a film at this level. And it's between the acting and the directing. I think Spike Lee really has a good shot. Another guy out there who has a really good shot is Alfonso Cuaron. I mean, if you haven't seen Roma, Roma's just a beautifully shot film that takes the life of this woman and just makes it like bigger than it is, and it's just like a slice of normal life and everything. I mean, there's a lot of brutality in it as well. Like, I mean, when things start going wrong in her life, I mean, things start really, 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 really going wrong in her life. Just everything goes wrong. And just the way he navigates, where like you hear the sounds of the city, and you get planes flying overhead, which is like something they don't want ever in a Hollywood movie. And everything is just natural. Everything's natural light, natural sound. Everything just works as showcasing what the city life is in the, I guess it's 70s, early 70s in Mexico City, and just this woman's life and how everything goes through it. And again, I mean, you get 2 acting nominations out of it, so it's showcasing that he's a director that could get these acting performances from people. And like Cold War, I think he's really going to get a good shot at getting the cinematography award, or Roma's going to get a good shot at the cinematography award. And I do think that kind of a little more so than Cold War is going to take away, because the cinematography in Roma is just like amazing. Like it just looks like picture after picture after picture taken. So that's what I think a lot of people are going to remember. I don't think they're going to remember the acting performance. I have a feeling with like the Academy, a lot of people don't recognize foreign acting performances. They don't like take it in the same vein as, seeing like people that they know act. And I do think that hinders them. So I think Cold War is going to be hindered in the directing, because they're not looking at these people's performances as like upper echelon of acting. And the same thing's going to happen with Roma. Like, yeah, there is the 2 nominations for the acting for Best Supporting Actress and Best Actress, but you're not going to see, like, they're not going to hold that to Cuaron and say, well, that's, he got these great performances out of it. They're going to more look at the cinematography. And I do think that might hurt him in the long run. I mean, anything is possible. Last nomination is Adam Mckay for Vice. And this is, for me, the shock nomination, because I walked into Blakkklansman thinking it was going to be straight comedy. I walked into Vice thinking it was a straight biopic. I didn't understand that there was any comedy to it. And it's just, everything is just, like, it's a movie that basically, they can make a movie about one of the most despicable people in the world and make it a funny movie. And Adam Mckay just perfectly does that. Like, he blends everything. And again, he gets the nominations. I mean, Amy Adams got nominated. Who else? Christian Bale got nominated. And I can't think of the supporting actor nomination off the top of my head. But I mean, he got 3 nominations as well. So you're really showcasing your directing, and it's just so crazy because Adam McKay is just known as this comedic director. He's known as Will Ferrell's like writing buddy and everything. So it's weird seeing him direct a semi-serious movie, but throw the comedic aspects in there, but actually be able to bring it all together and make it work. I mean, like, there's so many little gags in Vice that, like, for the viewer are just perfect, that they, like, kind of just throw at you, and it just breaks the monotony of how, like, despicable of a person Dick Cheney was and everything. So I think it really, really worked out. And like, he might have been the best person to direct this movie, because if anybody directed it as a serious movie, it would be such a hated film because of the subject matter. It wouldn't be a hated film because of how it was made. It would be because of the subject matter. Like, I guess that's like, you'll never see a film, like a serious film about Adolf Hitler. Nobody wants to watch it, like, unless he's like portrayed as the bad guy and you want to see somebody try to defeat him, or like if somebody made a comedy about it. Like, you're not going to see, there's only one way you can do a Dick Cheney movie, and this is it. And Adam McKay really does good. So, like I did in previous years, I broke this down at the end with 3. Who I think's going to win, who I want to win, and who I think the dark horse is. Now, who I think is going to win is, I just have this feeling they're going to give it to Alfonso Cuaron. Part of me says Spike Lee, but the other part says the Academy just fell in love with Roma so much. I mean, everything about it is just, it's what the Academy loves. It's an art, not an art film. It's a moving picture. It's everyday life, but shown as a picture. And I think that's really going to help them. Who I want to win is, I want Spike Lee to win. I think this is like his year that he should win a Best Director nomination. How many years he should have been nominated for some of his other films that he didn't get nominated. I know he's outspoken and that hurts him with the Academy and everything, but I just think Blakkklansman is one of the better films of the year, and him directing it and pulling these performances out of some of these guys and just knocking it out of the park. And then the dark horse, I think, is Adam McKay, because I just think, people looking at him and seeing him as this comedic guy, this comedic director, comedic writer, and just the fact that, yeah, Vice is a comedy, but it's a comedy about just like one of the blackest spots in U.S. history. And, here he is making light of it, but making light of it to help get through the story. And it just, everything he does works in it. So that's that. I mean, tomorrow it'll probably be Best Supporting Actress or Best Supporting Actor. I'll probably knock them out, and then I'll knock the 2 acting awards out, and then I'll finish up will be Best Picture. But until then, I'll give you these 6, and then I'm going to start doing my reviews of horror films. Starting after this challenge, because I do this with a DVD Talk Challenge, I'm probably going to start trying to do a lot of my friends for upcoming horror movies. They do 365 horror films in 365 days. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that. I mean, in October, I get through 100, so I think that would add to the number and make it easier to get 365 in a year. I don't think I'm going to be able to do 1 a day, but I might be able to do 365 in a year, just not 1 a day. I might be able to average over the course of a year 365 films. So I'll start doing that probably come next week after the Academy Awards. I'll probably do a video on Monday with the breakdown of what happened with the Academy Awards, and then I'll go right into that. But until then, I will catch you on the flip side.